Hey y'all, good morning. It's Ben with Broad Shoulders Farm. It's New Year's Day. The sun is getting ready to come up over the hills. Make sure that's off. It's a little chilly today, but it's gonna get warmer. Yesterday it was like 70. It was insane, but I'm just doing morning chores here real quick, opening up all the chicken coops to let everybody out. And then I want to talk a little bit about, hey guys, new birds for 2020. And I'm actually going to sit in the car with the Murray McMurray catalog and look at that. But I just thought before I do that, it might be interested in seeing a little bit of everybody who's here. Part of our flock. This is the American and English-speaking breeds flock. And now I'm going to go over here and get out the Mediterranean and Pacific Rim breeds flock, followed by the continental breeds, which is mostly European and, well, which is mostly French and German breeds. And then I'll head up to the car, turn off the juice because I don't want to get shocked this morning, or pretty much any day. Hi boys and girls, good morning. Ciao bellas, ciao, andiamo. So, Spanish and Italian chickens here, Chinese and Australian breeds as well. It's a Mediterranean and Pacific Rim flock. We got one little bantam there. You can see George Patton. Hey guy. It was like being the weatherman. Anyhow. Now, we'll get the French and Germans out here. Mostly Marans, Bielefelders, Hamburgs. You can see that we use a Justin Rhodes style chickshaw. Well, not style, it is Justin Rhodes chickshaw. This is version 1.0. Making some more. Gonna do his 2.0 plans, but there's hi ladies. Marans, Mossegers, old French breeds like Crevecoeur and Laflèche. Ice bars are in here. Bielefelders. We've got a few expatriates. Dorcas there in the doorway. She's one of my favorites. Don't tell the other chickens. Hey Dorcas, good morning. But they're all hanging out in there. Everybody looks good. Okay. Hi, bonjour. Who is that? That is 70. You're from Alchemist. Sorry. I just put bands on some of them yesterday because I've been keeping them straight in my head for a while, but I'm getting ready to add like 8 more Marans pullets that we've been growing out in there. So yesterday I started going through and saying, okay, I know you're Mon Petit, you're from this group. I know you're Grand Sœur, you're from this group. I know you're Francois, you're from this group. So anyhow, but let me hop in the car here, turn down the heat. Hi little one. Oh, you pooped on the catalog. So this little character, she is one of our own home hatched little bantam chicks, and for whatever reason in the past week she's become very unpopular with her mom and her siblings. They just pick on her, and they were all hatched together on Halloween. And so I've just been letting her hang out with me a bit this week. I moved them into the Bantam house, her mom and the others that hatched for the Halloween hatch, and they're in a separate crate in there while they integrate. You know, you got to have like a little separation pin. You can't just throw new birds into an existing flock. That's a recipe for heartache and pain, serious injury, and but she is too little. She slips through the. We have like a dog carrier crate that works with pretty much everybody else, but she slips through, and then of course the older bantams just pick on her. So it's not really a thing that we can do, but let's talk about what we can do. So Roots and Refuge Farm did a really nice video on chicken math and their plans for 2020, and it was a long video, but I found it very watchable. Maybe that's just kind of a thing for chicken people to kind of geek out on. That probably makes a lot of sense that's the thing. But so anyhow, for folks who are interested, I'm just going to talk a little bit about my plans for 2020 And plan number one would be to get rid of my wattle. Most people get thinner farming. I've gotten fatter. But anyhow, be that as it may. So I thought I would use the Murray McMurray catalog as my starting point. I may do a couple more of these videos just because I order from several different hatcheries in the past. I've only been doing this for March will make 2 years. But I've ordered from Ideal Poultry, I've ordered from Murray McMurray last year for the first time. I've ordered from Ideal several times, ordered from Cackle Hatchery, and then I've ordered from private breeders, and I've purchased a few birds from like Tractor Supply Company, and even from the, we have a fancy rich person's farmers farm shop here in town. It's, I guess, for like gentlemen farmers, but they were the first place I was able to get black copper Marans easily. So so I bought from them a couple times. But so let's talk about my flock. I've got the 3 main groups, and I'm working on a 4th group. So I've got the American and English speaking group, the flock. I've got the French and German flock, and then I have the Mediterranean and Pacific Rim breeds flock. And then I have the bachelor pad, which is where my surplus roosters go. As I've said before in other videos, we don't cull here. We curate, but culling implies that the birds that are taken out of the breeding program are processed. We don't do that. All our birds are guaranteed lifetime employment, as long as they're in good health. You know, we certainly don't want them suffering. But and I talk about that in other videos. But I gotta come up with a name for her. She hasn't told me anything yet, but she's so sweet. But so I was doing the math this morning. I have 136 birds in production. That's hens and roosters. That is separate from the so those are in production, by which I mean those are birds laying eggs that I harvest every day throughout the year and sell to our farmers market customers. Then I've got about 40 plus roosters in the bachelor pad. I've got probably another 40 birds in different grow out pens or in brooders, some juvenile birds. Then we've got all the waterfowl. So when you put it all together, I'm probably close to 300 birds. But in terms of birds that are assigned to working flocks, it's 138, 136. And so it's, you know, it's a little less than 50 birds per each of the 3 groups. And I'm working on a house for a Nordic flock. So that will be my 4th group, 4th working group. And the goal is about, you know, anywhere from 30 to 50 birds per group. You know, when you start thinking about birds that you're going to order, probably the number one thing is what are your goals, because otherwise chicken math is real, hen fever is real. I've certainly succumbed to some of that where it's like, oh, there's plenty of room for more birds. But building out that infrastructure, making sure that you can take good care of those birds is not something to be forgotten or taken lightly, or to assume that, oh, you can just whip something together. I've certainly found out that in my experience, it's just me, and my wife can help occasionally, but she has a full-time job as a nurse overnight in the ICU, so I try not to rely on her much at all. I occasionally can hire some help to do some things, but in general it's just me. So you have to make sure, you know, that you don't get too many birds, because you don't want them to suffer, and if you care for your birds, you're going to suffer if they're suffering. So our goal for the first year was super colorful eggs, unlike anything else being offered at the farmers market, and I've totally done that. I get $5 a dozen for my eggs. We're in rural Southside Virginia, just a little bit above the North Carolina state line. And so everybody else has standard white or brown sex-link produced eggs. All of a standard size, fairly uniform color. I know one fellow farmer who has a decent amount of Welsumers, so he's got some freckled eggs. But generally, when you open up their cartons, it's a, you know, it's pretty standard for what you would see in the grocery store. So I've worked at different farmers markets, I've managed a couple, and I wanted to make sure that I definitely differentiated my products, so I went for colorful eggs from many breeds. I've got about 46 breeds, different breeds represented here on the farm, and I don't count color variations as a separate breed. So I've got light Brahmas, I've got buff Brahmas, that still counts as one breed. I've got several different varieties of Marans, that still counts as one breed. But I've got 46 breeds here, and so what am I going to add next year? I've noticed that now I have plenty brown eggs, which is what I want, with a significant amount of Marans, but I'm actually running short on blue eggs this year. My Americanas, their eggs are very lightly colored. There are pure Americanas, don't get me started on the difference between Auricana, Americana with an I, Americana, and Easter eggers. It's a pet peeve that people mix those up, but we have Americanas, an actual breed developed here in the States in the 70s. But we also have Whiting True Blues that I got from a local breeder, and I'm actually really pleased with those. But I've only got 2, and they do lay a good blue egg. I've got some good green eggs this year, and I have very few white egg layers. I have 3 Leghorn chickens. 2 Dutch brown single comb, and a buff as well, and they're really my only Leghorns. I don't have any sex-linked birds, production black, production red, any of those things. I have a few olive eggers, and so I did really well with basket color, my egg selection color last year. I was very pleased with it, but I need to get more blue eggers this year. So one thing I'm definitely ordering from Murray McMurray are more Whiting True Blues. I think I'm ordering 3. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got several roosters, several whiting roosters, so no need to order more of them. But I'm gonna order some more of the pullets. I'm also going to, as I'm looking away from the camera, I'm just kind of scanning out, looking at the bachelor pad. I'm integrating some new roosters, started yesterday, and just making sure everybody's okay. Whiting True Blues, I'm gonna order some Whiting True Greens. The thing I like about the Whitings is they lay like a Leghorn. They are designed to produce a lot of eggs, a lot of large eggs that kind of comport to the standard grocery store egg that people are looking for. But there's a slight color tint. And what I'd really like to do is get some of those to cross with my leg bars. I'm gonna try my hand at breeding, intentionally breeding, some of our own birds this year. We've had several hatches of unplanned bantams, which is fine. Love those guys. We have a lot of bantams. But sorry, I'm watching the guineas run around out there, just making sure everything's okay. So I'm getting the Whiting True Greens to breed with some of my olive eggers to see if I can get larger olive eggs, green eggs faster. And same thing with the Whiting True Blues. I'm going to start breeding some of my roosters to, again, some of my leg bars. Excuse me, I have noticed in my experience the leg bars produce a bluer egg. The color is much nicer, but it's a small egg. I mean, it's not like small on the standard, extra large, large, small, medium, and all that. It's not small that way, but it is a smaller egg. So I'm wondering what I can get when I cross leg bars with Whitings. See how I can improve that. So I'm excited about that. I'm ordering a couple Bielefelders from Murray McMurray. That's a heavy German breed that is auto-sexing, which I love. That means that at hatch, you can tell the boys from the girls very easily, and that trait is heritable. That's different from a sex-linked bird, which means you can tell the boys from the girls at hatch, but it's not a trait that gets passed on to their offspring. So, if you breed production reds together, you won't continue to get auto-sexing chicks. Auto-sexing birds are not sex-linked. It's a heritable trait. So I like that. The Bielefelders are big, they are fluffy, they are cuddly, they feel like a chicken should if you want to hold one up and have just a big fluffy chicken. They're very good. They're very gentle temperament. They're probably 10+ pound roosters, the hens that I have. about the same. I got my first Bielefelders from Alchemist Farm last year. 2 boys, 2 girls. Only 3 of them are, well, I'll talk about that later, or in another video. But one of them basically had some birth defects, so she's become a house chicken. She's super sweet, super fluffy, great disposition. But the other 3, the 2 boys and one of the girls, are definitely out to work. But Bielefelders reliably lay a large brown egg. And so I like that. I'm interested to see what can happen when I start crossing them with other breeds, to see what colors I can get of green eggs. But you know, you cross a brown egger and a blue egger in order to achieve green eggs, green colored eggs. You can start to get some interesting colors that way. But so that's a thing I'm working on. I'm adding a few more Anconas, which is a light Italian breed that I really like. They're very chatty. They're personable, but not cuddly. They're not snuggly. They don't want to hang out with you in your arms per se, but they do want to see what you're up to, and they chat a lot. Some of my first birds were Anconas, and I wound up losing a few of them, and still have one, but I want to add more because I'm just sentimental about them. I've got 2 Ancona roosters actually, so I can start breeding my own here in time. What else am I adding? No more Amerocanas. I have plenty of those, including 2 gorgeous black roosters from Cackle Hatchery, and sorry, watching the lads. And no more Amerocanas. What else am I ordering from? I was going to do all this from memory, but if I pick up the Murray McMurray catalog, and I'm ordering, like I said, from several breeders, but I've got Murray McMurray here. And let me just say in general, this year was the first year that I bought birds from Murray McMurray, and I'm really pleased with them. In general, the birds were of a good size. Well, so let me say this. I ordered Bielefelders from Murray McMurray in 2019, and they mistakenly sent me Welsumers, which is fine. Welsumers are a great breed, lay a nice chocolate freckled egg. But they are some weak-looking Welsumers. I mean, I'm not going to lie. They look poorly bred. They're very tiny. The brown egg color is not fantastic for them. The freckling is okay. But, you know, I'm happy to have them. They work hard. They still do plenty of jobs here around the farm. But Hamburgs. I got Hamburgs. I'm a big fan of almost all the Dutch breeds. And the silver spangled Hamburgs I got from Murray McMurray are gorgeous. They're much larger than the birds I've gotten from other hatcheries. McMurray's selection is a little limited, but if you like a pheasant type chicken, if you look up Hamburgs, that's really kind of their body shape. It's not like what we think of as an American kind of heavy chicken. McMurray, I mean, I've had a positive experience with them, despite the Welsumers being on the small and not the best looking side. I think the whitings are great. This is the first time I'm getting whitings from them. Super pleased with the Hamburgs. And, you know, they sent me their free mystery chick, which if you order, you know, a certain quantity, they just start throwing in some. They sent me like a red sex link. Maybe she was a golden comet or something. Unfortunately, she was killed by a weasel just maybe a few weeks ago, and it broke my heart. Her name was Charlotte, but she was super sweet. You know, again, I don't really buy the production hybrids, but I was thankful that she was included, and just really sweet. She was a great bird, also from Murray McMurray. But so this year I'm getting Bielefelders from Murray McMurray. Hopefully they won't ship the wrong birds again. And getting Bielefelders. I'm not adding any more Australorps, though I am interested in, real quick, a breeding project where you cross Rhode Island Reds with Australorps and you get a Rhode Island Blue. I saw them at Mount Healthy, is a hatchery. They're offering it as a production hybrid. I might try and produce some myself because just visually the birds looked awesome, and I have like close to a dozen Rhode Island Red roosters. True story, I have never ordered a Rhode Island Red chicken in my life. I have a few bantams that I ordered, but I've never ordered one. They are Ideal Poultry, includes Rhode Island Red roosters like packing peanuts in any order. They just throw them in there. So I've given them all, you know, housing in the bachelor pad, and, you know, but I'm finally excited to have a use for them. So I am ordering 3 dark Brahmas this year. Dark is the only color that I don't have, but I'm just ordering pullets. I have ordered one buff Brahma rooster or cockerel, and I'm excited about that. I'm a fan of Brahmas. They're tall, they're feather-footed, which can be dicey here. They do great in winter. Summer can be a little rough on them, but I've planted a lot of trees in the orchard. We're working on more and more shade for them. I physically like the look of the bird. I think they're very handsome. If it gets too wet, the feather feet can be a hygiene problem. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But gosh, I don't want to jinx myself, but the 6 Brahma birds that we've had now for going on 2 years are all still fine. And I think they might have been Tractor Supply birds. So anyhow, I'm excited to get some from a larger hatchery like Murray McMurray. What else am I looking at here? No more blue Andalusians. I have 3 pullets and 1 rooster. Andy, the pullet, has been with me for 2 years. She's great. So again, they're not personable. Well, they have a lot of personality. They're not going to want to hang out with you a whole lot, but they're curious and they're industrious. Like if you're working on something, they want to see what it is. But they work all the time. They are not a breed that sits lounging. They're just industrious. They're working. And I need them if they're not laying eggs. It helps me out a lot if they're foraging, if they're eating bugs, if they're scratching, if they're tilling for me, if they're adding fertilizer in more than one place. They're doing their job. So I'm a big fan of Andalusians. I have 3 Sicilian buttercups, and I'm probably done with them. I had 4. I lost one of the pullets, so I have 2 roos and 1 pullet. And they're neat, but I really think I just got them because I was like, oh, these would be cool. The 1 pullet, I don't know exactly what eggs she's laying in there, but, she's contributing. The lads are, charming. They're not hostile. I don't have any roosters that I am afraid of. We haven't culled for that. We've been lucky, and I work a lot with them, and I can talk about that in another video. But no more Sicilian buttercups. I'm just kind of done. Yeah, nothing against them. They just haven't really wowed me. But a Mediterranean breed that I do really like is the Minorca, and I am tripling the Minorcas I have now. I had like 1 buff and 1 brown. Now I'm adding like 3 more buff and 3 more, 3 buff and 3 black. Yeah, I had 1 black and 1 buff, and now I'm adding more of each. And I'm also adding 2 Minorca roosters. I like them. I like the big floppy comb. I like the comb that kind of falls across the face like a beret. I just think it looks cool. I like it. And they're the largest of the Mediterranean fowl, I think, the Minorca, the Mediterranean class. And I like large birds, and I cannot lie. But I also like the small ones, like little here. Yeah, I'm adding Minorcas. Good egg layer, very active, good foragers, not hostile. They just show up for work, they do their job, and they do it day after day after day. So I like them. I'm actually thinking of adding Cochins this year. I've never had Cochins. I like that they're really big. Previously I'd kept them out because I didn't know that they could handle our kind of semi-free range. All our birds are inside of electronet fencing inside their coop. Well, they have their coop, and then they have their electronet fencing, and the coop and the fence move every 2 to 4 weeks depending on how I'm able. They go through the orchard here. But I just wasn't sure if they're going to be cut out for it, but I want to try because I want to get some of that Cochin size in some of my birds as I start to work on maybe developing my own breeds or refining the birds that I have. But also they're very gentle. I like bird temperament is really important to me. Like I said, we don't have any birds that I don't get along with. I have some that I'm a little wary of, and we keep our distance in the rooster pad. But in terms of in the production flock, a child can walk into any of our coops and be just fine. But yeah, so I'm kind of interested in Cochins. Also, apparently they're very good mothers and brooders, and in fact they're often used to raise ducklings, which I hope to have some this year. Some that we hatch ourselves. I will probably let the geese hatch a few of their eggs this year. I'm not quite sure. We got 16 geese. I would like a nice even 20, but I don't know if I want them all from our own stock yet or not. I've not done diversifying. Diversity is really important for me in terms of genetic breeds. And why do I have 46 breeds. I mean, part of it is I like collecting things. It's a lot like my approach to gardening and my orchard. I have lots and lots of different heirloom and historic plant breeds and all that. But it is a lot like planting different seeds. Sow a bunch of stuff and see what grows and prospers really well in your area. And so that's what I have. I mean, it's one thing to read the catalog descriptions and be like, oh man, this is it's a cool bird. I'd like to have some of these. But it's another thing to say, hey, I've hung out with at least a couple varieties or a couple representatives of this breed for 2 years now, and I really like this breed. I found them charming, or I like X, Y, and Z about them. This other breed, I'm not really sold on it. I don't like A, B, and C about it. So there's something to be said for having that many breeds and to find what you gravitate toward and what does really well where you live. So speaking of which, sorry, I'm back to the McMurray catalog. Campines, another Dutch breed. Surprisingly charming. I got a golden one or a couple goldens from McMurray. I got some silvers, and I have to say I think I like the silvers better. I got them from Ideal. So I'm thinking about adding more Campines, maybe a rooster, because they're a really charming breed. And I've said this before in other Instagram posts and stuff, but Dutch breeds, everybody knows Welsemers and Barnevelders, but there are a ton more, and I really encourage you to look into them because they're pretty, they're personable, they're productive. I don't know, they're just kind of chickens that you want to hang out with. I really like a lot of the Dutch breeds. So Campines, yes. I'd ordered a couple of I'd ordered a trio of the white laced red Cornish because I think they're beautiful, but I'm going to cancel them because I don't do meat birds. I need to be a little bit more focused with all the birds that I have, and we're really focusing on egg production. And I like the look of the dark Cornish and the white lace red, but I don't need them this year. I don't need them now. If everything goes to hell in a handbasket, in terms of any kind of collapse, which is not something that I spend a lot of time worrying about. I have plenty of dual purpose breeds that I can feed my family with, so I'm not really worried about it. So I just don't need meat birds at this point. I think they're neat, and I'd like to add them later, but not now. I'm not ordering any more cream leg bars. I have plenty of those from several different breeders. I already talked about their eggs. I may order some more Crevecoeurs. I was very pleasantly surprised with them. Typically, I don't do birds with top hats, but I have Brabanters, which another Dutch breed with a slightly less fluffy. They have more of a mohawk. So they can still see around. I've never wanted Polish because they're generally listed as exhibition birds and not the best layers, but I've added Crevecoeurs. I added them this year not last year in 2019, because they're a very old historic French utility breed. And so if they have a history of being out and running around, I'm okay working with that. I don't want them to be, hawk bait, since they can't really see much above themselves, but they've done really well, and they're so nice. They're charming. There's Femme de Barbe, the bearded lady, and Pomp are my two who hang out with me quite a bit, but I like them a lot. I think I may add a rooster this year, a Crevecoeur rooster, maybe start breeding some of my own there. Another top hat kind of breed that I'm going to try this year, the mottled Houdans. Believe it or not, I tried to add them last year, and they never made it out of the brooder. They did not do well, so I'm going to try ordering them this year, this time from Murray McMurray instead of who I ordered from last time, see how those goes. But same thing, no Delawares, I've never had them, not interested at this point. Dominiques, I have 5 Dominiques that I got from a private breeder. They're super sweet, I love them, they do a great job. I don't think I'm ready to buy any more at this point. Maybe a rooster someday, but not now. Hamburgs, I'm not going to add any more, but I've already told you that I love them. Fayumis are interesting, but I don't see a need for them right now. Faverolles, I only have 2 Faverolles, and I like them a bit. I wish they were friendlier, but I'm adding 2 more, and I'm getting a Faverolles rooster because I just think they look amazing. I'm a sucker for like old French breeds. I really like the look of those. And kind of the history and all that, and we're doing a market garden and our branding, and the profile of our farm. You know, I kind of want to be a small regional boutique, old school in some ways farm. So they fit the profile here. Dorkings. I love Dorcas and I love Dork, the pair that we have. They were from Meyer Hatchery. They're some of my Dorcas, maybe my favorite bird. I think I said that earlier. Don't tell the other birds, but I don't know if I want to get more from a hatchery. I'm scared that they may not be as neat. I would love to find another breeder nearby who I could get some from. I'd like to try a red Dorking, but I may order some just because I just like them. So we'll see. What else is in here real quick as we're winding up? Jersey Giants. I have 2 Jersey Giantesses, and I like them quite a bit. I may add a rooster this year. I'm also looking at adding some blue Jersey Giants. I like blue birds. I have a lot of them. I like, again, the heavy birds. No white birds. I typically avoid white birds. And saying that now, this is going to make me sound like such a hypocrite. I am actually thinking about ordering a French white Marans from Murray McMurray, just because I've heard things from some friends who really like Murray McMurray that say that these Marans actually lay really good, nice, good colored eggs. Most hatchery birds are not going to lay a really dark chocolatey egg. You know, you may get like a 3 or a 4 on the Maran scale. That's been my experience. The eggs that lay 6s, 7s, and 8s in my flock are all from private breeders. So, you know, be that as it may, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of cash on it, but I may invest in 1 or 2 white Marans. I'm going to add more. I'm going to get a silver Lakenvelder rooster. I really like the Lakenvelders. I may add a few more. What I really like is not offered in the catalog, so I won't talk about that now. I may get some golden Lakenvelders. I'm getting a few more Langshan pullets. I only have 1 black one right now from a hatchery, but I'm getting some from a private breeder. They're blue and splash. I may add another Dutch Leghorn. I'm just not sure. Some of the, you know, I'm not entirely sold on Leghorns. I guess that's about all I'll say about that at this point. I told you about Minorcas. I told you about Marans. I don't really have any interest in adding any more Orpingtons. I've got, well, wait, that's not true. I have 2, and they're okay. They definitely try and brood, which is a good trait to have. I've got 2 or 3 black Orpingtons ordered from a small farm, a private breeder. I'm excited about that. And things that are not in the McMurray catalog that I'm actually really excited about is I'm adding some more Bresse, which is a French breed that is prized for meat, but also is a really nice egg layer. And of course, they're white. So here I'm contradicting myself. But I'm also getting some Barbezoos, and I really tried to get those last year. I ordered some from a breeder that they turned out not to actually be Barbezoos, and then they kind of ghosted me, that breeder, but you know, whatever. I have more confidence in this one, but check those out. They're they may be the largest of the European or the continental class, but they're really neat. They're supposedly really gentle. I've got some of those coming, so I'm excited about those. Back to Murray McMurray. I don't think I'm going to add any more rocks. I've got some barred rock roos that are very nice. I have some barred rock hens that are very nice. I think I'm covered on those. I have a couple partridge rock that are charming. I've seen blue rocks and some others, but I think for now our rock situation is rock solid. And I think that's no Polish, just because they don't have a production history as far as I can tell. I got red caps from Murray McMurray last year. They haven't super distinguished themselves. I mean, they're nice little birds. They're built like the Hamburgs, honestly. And there's a little variation in the combs of the 2 pullets that I have. So you got to watch out for that. You know, the red caps are kind of famous for, on the roosters, having a really distinct red cap comb. But there's a little more variety amongst the 2 hens that I have than I would expect. So, but they're really critically endangered breeds, so everybody's working on, kind of restoring them to their glory. So, be that as it may, most of the breeds that I got, certainly the first year and second year, were derived from the Livestock Conservancy's website, where I just started looking at, hey, which ones are critical, and then which ones out of that list are not ornamental, but which ones have a production history, which ones look neat, which ones look like they would do well in the environment here in Southern Virginia and kind of what I'm trying to do, and which ones are available. So that's kind of how I started. No more white-faced black Spanish. I've got 2 of those, and I'm happy with them. They're very nice birds. They have proven to be surprisingly broody, which is interesting for Mediterranean. I'm kind of tempted to add some Sumatras one day, but that's not a priority this year. No Turkins. No more Welsumers, or if so, not from Murray McMurray, sorry. And Whitings, no more Wyandottes. I've impulsively purchased some Wyandottes from Tractor Supply over the years, and there's nothing wrong with them. They're very nice. I even added some Colombian Wyandottes because I thought they looked really cool. But, you know, they are what they are. They're quite nice. They're just don't really stand out to me. But all right, so this has gone on for a long time. If you have questions or comments, find me on YouTube or talk on our Facebook page, or find us on Instagram. Leave comments below. If anybody watches this, I know it's long, but I don't know. I kind of like talking about this stuff. This is the first time I've done it. I'm sure I could be more organized. If you have suggestions or specific questions you want me to talk about, I'm happy to do so. Happy New Year, one and all. Bye-bye.